The old man in the market. The market was bustling with the usual energy of an early spring morning. The sun hung low in the sky, casting a soft golden glow on the colourful stalls that lined the cobbled streets. Merchants shouted their prices in melodic tunes, coaxing customers to stop, bargain and buy. The scent of fresh bread, ripe fruit and fragrant flowers mixed in the air, filling the marketplace with a sense of warmth and life. Amidst the crowd, an old man walked slowly, his steps deliberate and measured. His back was bent slightly, a sign of the years that had accumulated on him. He wore a faded brown coat, its fabric frayed at the edges, and a pair of worn boots that had seen better days. His hands, wrinkled and gnarled like the bark of an ancient tree, gripped a wooden cane with care. The cane itself had been polished over the years by the touch of his hand, and it seemed to carry a history all of its own. The old man was not in a hurry. He never was. He had lived a long life, filled with both joy and sorrow, and now he had learned to savor the moments that life offered him. Every step he took in the market was a quiet contemplation of the world around him, of the people, the sights, the sounds. He wasn't here to buy anything, he was simply walking, drifting through the crowd like a forgotten memory. As he passed a fruit stand, his eyes lingered on the bright red apples. He remembered the days when he and his wife would walk together to this very market. They would laugh and joke about which apples were the best and what recipes they could make with them. He could almost hear her voice in his mind, soft and kind, as if she were standing beside him. A sudden wave of sadness swept over him, but he pushed it down, as he had learned to do so many years ago. There was no point in dwelling on what was lost. He took a deep breath and continued to move forward. Just as he was about to pass a flower stand, a young woman caught his eye. She stood at the stall, carefully selecting a bouquet of wildflowers, her fingers moving gently over the delicate petals. She wore a simple dress, its fabric flowing in the breeze, and her hair, long and dark, hung loosely around her shoulders. There was something about her presence that seemed to fill the air with a certain quiet grace, and the old man felt a flicker of recognition in his heart. He had never met this woman before, but there was something familiar about her. Perhaps it was her quiet demeanor, or the way she seemed so connected to the simple beauty of the world around her. The old man paused for a moment, observing her with a sense of nostalgia. As if sensing his gaze, the young woman looked up. Her eyes, a warm brown, met his, and for a brief moment they shared a quiet understanding. The old man gave her a gentle nod, and she returned the gesture with a soft smile. There was something timeless in that exchange, something that transcended age and time. She turned back to the flowers, selecting a few blooms and arranging them carefully in her hands. The old man's heart ached as he watched her, and for a moment he found himself lost in a memory from long ago. He had once seen his wife, years ago, arranging flowers in much the same way. Her movements had been graceful, like a dance, and the way she handled each petal had always reminded him of the fragility of life itself. His wife had been gone for many years now, but the memory of her still lingered, like the scent of those flowers. The woman's movements caught his attention again, and he took a tentative step forward. As he approached the flower stall, he noticed the vendor was busy attending to another customer. The old man, feeling a strange pull toward the woman, cleared his throat gently. "I hope you don't mind me saying so," he began, his voice soft but steady. "But you have a certain way with flowers. It reminds me of someone I once knew." The woman looked up again, her brow furrowing slightly as if trying to place his words. She smiled politely, though it was clear she didn't fully understand what he meant. "Do I?" she asked, her voice warm and curious. "I've always enjoyed picking flowers. They remind me of my mother." The old man's heart gave a small lurch. For a moment he was lost for words. The connection he felt with this woman deepened, not in any tangible way, but in a quiet, almost spiritual manner. She reminded him of his wife, not in looks, but in the way she moved through life with such gentleness and care. "I'm sure your mother would be proud," the old man said softly. "There's a certain peace in tending to things like flowers, don't you think? It's as if they help us remember the good things in life." The woman seemed to consider his words for a moment, then nodded. "I think you're right," she said. "I feel the same way when I'm around flowers. They make everything seem, say,